out here. We're going to Hershey, Pennsylvania tonight. We have a big rally, a lot of people, tremendous lines, great enthusiasm. There's never been this enthusiasm, in my opinion, for the Republican Party. The Republicans have stuck together. There's a witch hunt. It's a terrible thing. But even the Democrats, they couldn't find very much because they put up two articles that, frankly, are very weak, and they're very weak. Also, they approved today, of all days, we've been waiting a year, and they approved today the USMCA, and I call that the silver lining to impeachment, because without the impeachment, they would have never approved it, in my opinion. The impeachment is the reason they approved it. And interestingly, 1 hour after the news conference, they went out and did a news conference on the big trade deal, the great trade deal, one of the greatest trade deals ever made for our country. And the reason is they wanted to muffle down the impeachment because they're embarrassed by it, and they couldn't get the votes. And that's exactly what happened. So it's a terrible thing when they do something like that. But now it goes to, I guess, a vote, and I assume they will probably have to have the votes. They're very weak articles. But very importantly, today we get USMCA, and that's going to be a great thing for our farmers, our manufacturers, for just about everybody. That's good for everybody, unions included. I spoke with Richard Trumka. I spoke to James Hoffa, and we had good talks. That's the union people. I did that a few days ago. We had some very good talks, and everybody is really loving the USMCA, so we're very happy about that. Very, very happy. Say it, go ahead. Is what? Well, I think the Democrats, I can't imagine they vote for it because we did nothing wrong. There was absolutely nothing done wrong. They've analyzed my conversation every way you can. And when you talk about, the word favor was mentioned, and it was mentioned, not me a favor. You just saw the way it was. And it was nothing to do with me. This has to do with the United States. The word was us. Can you do us a favor? Then we talk about the country, and we talk about seeing the Attorney General of the United States. When you look at it, and that was just a part of it. It was a congratulatory call, and there were two of them. Nobody even mentions the other one. We had another one where they won originally. He won the election, and I think it's a disgrace that people can make impeachment out of nothing. That was a perfect conversation. If you look at Mark Levin, he analyzed the conversation, one of the great constitutional lawyers, many of them have. They were perfect conversations. There's nothing to impeach on. And I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an absolute disgrace. So let's say they vote on it. I don't know when they're going to vote. Who knows? All I know is they were very embarrassed by it. And that's why they brought up USMCA an hour after, because they figure it'll muffle it a little bit. And if you look at the poll numbers, the Firehouse poll just came out, and we're way ahead of everybody in every state, most of the, I think most of the swing states, we're way ahead. And you know what? I don't know if that's impeachment or the fact that we have the best economic numbers that we've ever had in our country. We have the best unemployment numbers and employment numbers. We have the best numbers we've ever had in our country. So I think that has something to do with it. You saw on Friday 266,000 jobs, new jobs. And other countries all over the world, they're not doing well. We're doing great. We're the hottest country.
Jesse, I'm amazed. I listen to this, and he just is out there. He punches, counterpunches, he's slamming. He doesn't stop. But at some point, do you think, from my perspective, it's like he's just flooding the zone. There's no fact-checking. He just gets away. And people buy it, especially on the right-wing media. He's praising Mark Levin.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay.
I think him being on offense is effective. And he's got to speak the truth. He's a great promoter of himself and the campaign and the Republican Party, and no one does it better than he does. So that's fine. I think Democrats like you maybe are frustrated because he's such an eloquent speaker and so precise with his combative pronunciations and denunciations that your head is spinning, and it just frustrates you. And it must be frustrating because here's the deal. If the economy was in the gutter and this country was sad and there was terrorist attacks and there was a horrible war, impeachment would be really, really hot and people would be ready to short-circuit this guy early. But it's not. Things are great. And so for them to do this now and pull the chain looks super petty, and everybody knows it.
Well, I think that would mean it was a political thing if the economy was the issue, as opposed to what they're alleging, which is abuse of power and obstruction of justice.
Now it looks partisan.
Okay,
that's my
all right.
point.
Dana, how did you react to the president's statement?
Well, I think he has to be on offense. I mean, what's the alternative? Is to sit there and be punched in the face on impeachment the whole time. And one, that's just not in his nature. It's also not good politics. He has a country to run as commander-in-chief, but he's also got an election to try to win. He can't take any vote for granted. That's why he's out there doing these rallies, and he has to go to these places like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And if he's going to press his advantage there, and he should.
All right, Greg. I have to apologize, but
I'll say one thing. I don't think he could have exited this in a better situation with a great economy, with a really weak, these two articles of impeachment. He's got job. I mean, he should be very happy right now. He's going to have a great rally.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to have a big rally in Pennsylvania, and you can watch, I think, right here on Fox News Channel.